Stoneforge Gaming video, and today we're going to be taking a look at a piece that I recently created. Now, these first two pictures are some sort of concept ideas that I had for the piece. Now you can see from this we're working with a fountain. So this first picture is more or less to kind of get the idea of the white water effects that I was kind of shooting for in this project, some new techniques and things like that. And then in this picture, what I really wanted to show was the fact that there can be a lot of variation in the way that water spills out from a spout, from a fountain spout, and then you can see that there's a lot of water kind of froth in the bottom based on the distance that it falls. So the idea when I was going through this was to make a fountain that is overall rather large in its scale. The piece probably ranges about 2 to 2.5 inches tall and is about well, maybe even 4 inches wide, made and constructed out of Hirschart's mold pieces. Now these are cast pieces that are made out of plaster, and then you kind of form them together, and I've put them together. I will be honest, one of the interesting things that that initially drew me to this, you can see I based this on a hard plastic, basically just something I had from a box laying around. But I saw a fountain done years ago by Mike from Terranscapes that was a similar sort of idea, although his was a little more intricate, but I really wanted to try my hand at doing something like this. So you can see here some of the effects that I was able to end up doing with the water. You can see there is the white water splashing effects. You can see the stuff that's coming out of the fountain. You can see the way that it kind of falls and froths around at the bottom. Now, I will say there are a couple of things that I'm not a huge fan of. I tried to get a little more subtle effect with the froth at the bottom, or at least trying to get it to fade at the edges. Unfortunately, it didn't really work out the way that I had planned. I have some ideas as to how to do this, kind of maybe adding, because I used several different, well, 3 different types of water effect stuff with this, and the way that I actually did the spouts was actually, I took a piece of plastic, a clear acrylic plastic, and glued it, basically cut strips of it and then glued it, touching the mouth and then touching the center of the base of the fountain at whatever point that I wanted, super glued those in, and then started adding on the gloss mediums and water effects and all that sort of jazz to make my actual sort of frothing effects. Now, it worked to an extent to what I was looking for. I was looking to get a little more frothy at the bottom, because again, you have to understand that this water, if you think about it from scale purposes, it actually drops about, you can see these are still a little bit flexible, but the water would be dropping about 6 feet in height, which obviously, it being that big of a thing, would actually creates a decent amount of force. The first couple of layers that I actually did, I used this Mod Podge gloss. Basically, it's a gloss medium, but it's very thick. I use that as kind of a substrate, if you will, kind of an undercoat. And then I actually used this, which is there's a water effects thing that I got from a diorama set that it has a realistic water portion. You can actually see how this kind of sloshes around. It's the viscosity of it. I used that to kind of build up my layers with a little bit of tinting. I'm using inks, and then finally this is the actual thing that is the water effects, and you can see here when we peel this open, this is actually more of a paste. What my plan is in the future, if I go to do another piece like this, is to actually use the realistic water at the edges and kind of blend the two together. But it is what it is at this piece, the way that it ended up turning out. Now, the way I did the other water effects is I actually waited for the realistic water to basically get to a point where it had semi-hardened, and then I went in with a brush, and actually that's, you can see how I was stippling that in. For the water effects, however, I used a knife like that and basically more or less kind of sculpted the pieces the way that I was looking to have them kind of froth like that. Again, didn't work 100%, but I am overall very happy with the piece, and I think there's a lot of good that came out of it, and it was a lot of really great practice, and I really enjoyed creating this piece. So I hope you have all enjoyed this Stoneforge gaming video and taking a look at the fountain that I just recently created, and I hope that maybe it has given you guys some ideas. Happy gaming!